My name is Jordan Redfield Wade. By day, I'm a PI working for the NACPD. But by night, my friends, my family, and I fight for the city in a different way. We are the guardians of Newark City. I promised my mother as she lay dying that I would protect and defend this city from anyone that would mean to cause it harm. I am a protector. I am a guardian. I am Red Wing. Episode 9: Dreams and Nightmares. The alley is dark, foggy, and endless. You know you have to keep moving, but you don't know why. Something in your animal brain is telling you to go, and so you do. You begin to wonder if you will ever reach the end. You begin to question, what is the point of all of it? What is the goal? Why bother to move forward? Why don't you just turn back? You stop walking, and you look over your shoulder. That's when you hear it. You hear the scritchy scratching of something tiny dragging along the cobblestones. You hear heavy steps much greater than yours. Something is there. And then you hear something rattle. There are multiple things coming. You can't see them, but you know that they are there, just beyond the fog, and they are moving closer. You hear a growl, a deep, guttural sound that makes your spine tremble. You hear a cold, poisonous hiss, which causes you to turn and run. You've never been much of a runner, but you realize if you don't find the end of this alleyway and safety, whatever is beyond the fog will get you. You start panting. The steps behind you have picked up, and they're even louder now. Just keep running, you think to yourself. Just keep running. The things behind you are so much faster than you. You can feel their breath on the back of your neck, so you try to run faster. Your heart is pounding fast and hard, so hard that it hurts your rib cage. You hear a much louder growl than before, and it is incredibly close. It is a sound that very much resembles laughter. The sound a predator makes when it knows it's already won, and that you, its victim, its prey, have lost. Your feet betray you, catching on the cobblestone. You fall to the ground, landing with the full force of your body. You cry out and roll over to look up at the things that had been chasing you. They are terrible. But the middle one is the scariest of all. It roars in your face, and you feel the deadly heat of its breath on your face. It opens its maw as wide as it can go. These are your last few moments on Earth, and all you can do is scream. And then you never see anything ever again. And though this was merely a nightmare, you will never, ever be able to wake up again. Kieran pulled out the file from the cabinet that he was looking for. Dean, Joanna, and myself were all on our way. Kieran had known from the second he unzipped this body bag that this was going to be difficult.
Hey guys. Hey, Kay. Sorry about this whole thing. If I'd known...
It's okay, Dean. I'm fine. I'm a professional. I can do what I need to do.
I put a hand on Kieran's shoulder.
Okay. If you need to take a minute, let us know. You too, Joe.
Of course. All right, Key, what did you find?
I'm recording my findings for the report. The decedent's name was Scott Hudson, age 28, male, and familiar to the examiner. In that we went to high school together and worked at Blackburn Labs before the shockwave fire and explosion. He was doing work surrounding sleep disorders, specifically parasomnias like sleep paralysis. Sadly, and somewhat ironically, the victim was found dead in his bed, having died in his sleep, most likely in the midst of one of the very things he was working on. He was brought here, frankly, because of irony, and to be extra sure that it wasn't foul play.
I don't understand. How could there have been foul play?
Dean, my girlfriend is a witch who can read minds. Alejandro could manipulate people with his voice. This could have been the work of an angry metahuman. We won't necessarily know for sure, but I checked Scott's medical records, and he had no history of sleep issues, no history of heart disease. He was extremely healthy. Sudden nocturnal death syndrome typically appears in Southeast Asian men, but I remember talking to Scott and him telling me that he was almost exclusively Scandinavian and West African.
You know, in movies like Nightmare on Elm Street, people would specifically die in their dreams, which would lead to them dying in real life. Kieran, what were his cortisol and adrenaline levels?
I tested for those. They're abnormally high. Higher than nightmare stress should be. But it wasn't synthetic adrenaline or cortisol. It was homegrown.
Joe, can you look up the last few texts on his phone?
Of course. There is a number that sent a threatening text about 4 days ago. It's pretty incriminating. It says, "I hope you die in your sleep, you lying, thieving son of a bitch." Whew, somebody wasn't happy. Let me do a search for this number. Oh, god damn it. I know why this is happening.
And who is our mysterious texter?
It was Brent Johnson, his lab partner and best friend, until 4 days ago, apparently. I think this is because he cut Brent out of the paper that he was working on publishing.
Do you know why?
Do you?
I heard a rumor that it was because he was stealing drugs from the lab. You know how Scott was working on the good dream-inducing drug? I caught him eyeing that once, as well as its opposite, the nightmare toxin.
Wait, let me see him?
Here.
Oh my god. You guys, that's the guy who was under the building the night of the explosion. What if he had those chemicals in his pocket? He could have bonded to them and become the Sandman for delivering nightmares. Fuck. Okay. Do you think he'd be at home? Does the file say where he lives?
I'll pull it up on the way, and I'm going with you. Maybe I can talk him into confessing to the police.
By all means.
I'll stay here. Honestly, I don't think you'll need me. Just don't let him get into your head. Stay connected on comms, okay?
Got it, Key.
Okay, let's go.
When we reached the apartment, Joanna knocked on the door. It opened, and we saw Brent for the first time. He was our age, but he looked schlubby, like he'd let himself go a little bit. He looked as though he was about to unhinge.
What do you want? Joanna? What are you doing here?
NACPD. May we come in, Brent? We need to talk to you.
What? Why?
Redwing told us you were in the lab when it exploded. Stealing fear toxins or something? Coincidentally, your former research partner was found dead. And all of those texts you sent makes you look pretty damn bad. Do I need to go on?
Come in. Come in. And keep your voice down. I have neighbors.
Guys, that sounds like a trap.
I didn't kill Scott. That wasn't me.
You literally texted him, "I hope you die in your sleep." You sent that 2 days before he died. You guys were always friends in school. What happened? Come on, Brent, we just want to help.
Help. Help? Help. Do you know what the hell I've been through over the last 8 years? No, you don't. Why would you, Joanna? You only ever cared about your own projects and inventions. You didn't say one word to me the entire time we were in school, or the entire time we were in the same building. If you'd have talked to me at work, even once, you would have known what was up with me. I'd have told you, but you didn't have time for the likes of us.
That isn't true. Sure, I was focused on my work at work, but it's not my fault we never talked. You could have come to me in my office and asked for help. Scott asked for help, and I gave it when he needed it.
Both of you calm down and take a deep breath.
Brent, what was it you needed help with?
For years and years, I've suffered from multiple sleep disorders. I got hallucinations, I sleepwalked, I had night terrors and bad bouts of sleep paralysis. The only relief I could get was drugs. Heroin, to be specific. Scott watched me spiral in high school and college and stood by me as my friend during my time in rehab. I wouldn't have made it through school if it wasn't for him. Scott is the one who tried to come up with the fix for my issue. He changed his major in med school because he saw how much I suffered with this issue. His sister had them too, but she died due to a lack of oxygen caused by sleep paralysis. Scott and I started working on synthesizing a drug for me. When we finally got the first batch done, I was overjoyed. And I tried it on myself. Oh, the first time I injected the dream serum, it was heaven. I slept like a baby for the first time since high school. I took it every day, small doses at first, but then I built up a tolerance. I got angry and moody when I didn't have it. Scott started hiding it from me, saying he wanted to make it better, maybe eliminate the addictive side effects. I began to resent him for it, and kept asking him for higher doses, and eventually I just had to take it from him.
That's why you were in the lab that night. You were taking what you needed, but it blew up in your face. Quite literally.
When I woke up in the hospital, Scott was right there next to me. I was so happy to see him. My best friend, the most important friend to me, the only person I cared about. The person who waited by my side until I got better. He told me it was 4 months later. I knew that my life was suddenly different. For starters, I was broke. Blackburn Labs wasn't covering my hospital bills. I was stressed out and had insomnia. And then I figured out about the powers. If I touched someone, I could give people dreams so good that they would wake up restored and happy. I did that to Scott the first day back. It was an accident. I was crying because I was so stressed out, and he leaned forward and kissed me. I was surprised, but it didn't last very long because Scott passed out on my lap for a few hours, and I passed out in the hospital bed. When he woke up, he told me that he thought I'd given him that dream. He saw me and him in the dream I had given him, living as old men in a big house in the country. I knew it was real because I was in his dream when he saw it. I saw it too. It was the first real time. It was the first real time I'd ever been able to picture myself living long enough to grow old. That was the night he told me he loved me. I had thought that he did for a while, and I loved him too. For about a month, we would meet at least once a day somewhere just to share a kiss and take a nap. We built our own little dream world, but Scott wasn't out to anyone, and I was in recovery, and We had to focus on our work. I went back to work, which is when I realized that if I wasn't happy, if I was stressed out and tired, if I didn't see Scott and have that kiss and nap session, I would have a horrific night terror that night. And then I learned that on those days, if I touched anyone at all, I could give them a horrific nightmare, locking people inside their head, surrounded by their worst fears. If I didn't do this to at least one person a day, I'd have the worst nightmares. I didn't want to hurt anyone. The lab assistant that fell into a coma a few weeks back on the job, I didn't mean to do that to her, but she lived. Most of them live. But I got worried. And I thought I could counteract the effect. I figured if I could give someone a nightmare and then give them the dream serum, I could cancel out the effects or something like that. So I asked Scott to synthesize me another batch while I tried to minimize the damage I did to others. But Scott said he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't let me back on the drugs, and that's when all my disorders came back with a vengeance. And then 4 days ago, he told me that he didn't think it would be a good idea for me to be featured as a contributor to the paper we'd been writing about our research. I was furious. I accused him of taking credit for my disease.
Jesus Christ, Brent, I'm so sorry. But did it ever occur to you that he was trying to fast-track the paper to be published? It would be harder to do since they knew you had a history of drug abuse. He was trying to help you, and you did this to him.
You don't understand. I didn't mean to. I can't help it.
Brent, we want to help you. You aren't well. We can see that. But help is available. We can fix you.
No, shut up. No, I can't hold it back.
Brent grabbed his head and squeezed his eyes shut. His shoulders were tensing up. Brent twitched in his seat until he stopped and opened his eyes. His eyes were glowing purple as he started to laugh.
Since you're all here, how about you have a little gift from the Night Master? Here you go.
No. Brent, stop.
Jordan! Hey!
Don't you touch me. Don't you dare.
Good night. Sleep tight. Don't let the bed bugs bite.
The three of us opened our eyes. We were initially unsure where we were, but we quickly realized that we were in a dream. I'm not really sure what gave that away, but it was probably the unicorn in the parking lot of a lesbian nightclub.
Where are we?
I'm pretty sure we're in your brain. We have to be. There are half-naked statues of women on every street corner. I'm imagining that this isn't my super gay brain or my husband's brain.
I mean, the unicorns were a dead giveaway this wasn't mine. But the statues are nice.
Right. I forgot you might have boobs in your dreamland.
You're the only one in my dreamland, babe.
Aw, babe. I love you too.
Ugh, get a room. So we're in a dream. Interesting. Kinda cool. How do we get out?
Kieran probably heard it. He'll be near our bodies soon. But until then, we're in Joe's dreamland.
Yikes. Well, alright. Let's be careful.
Oh, come on. My subconscious isn't that bad.
Oh, you don't think so?
Nah, I'm pretty sane.
Then would you mind explaining why there's a giant robot unicorn running at us?
What? Oh, God, let's move.
Dean, look out!
Dean dove out of the way of the oncoming robot. He landed just a few feet away. The robot tried to skid to a stop and hit the building, knocking it over.
Ah, shit. Okay, guys, be extra careful. I don't think we have powers in here. I mean, I know I sure as hell don't have my powers. It's been so long, I forgot I could bleed.
Yep. I can't make a force field. Joe, can you make it stop?
I can try. Oh, it's working. Okay. Oi, giant robot unicorn, I command you to stop.
You must know the password to access that feature.
What? How would I know the password?
It's your brain, and I don't mean to alarm you, but this is clearly a nightmare fearscape, by the way.
Okay, plug your ears for a second.
Are you really worried that Dean and I are going to break into your computer? Come on, Joe. Besides, girl, I know what your go-to password is anyway.
Fine. Lovebird Pink Pony 8969.
Oh my god, Joe, seriously?
Oh, shut up, Dean. I know your main password is password12345.
Access granted to creator Johanna Lovelace. What can I do for you, mistress?
Wait, who built you? Who designed you?
You designed me. I am the Robocorn Battle Unicorn. You made a small version of me for a Make-A-Wish child who wanted to ride a robot unicorn. And then you sold the groundbreaking state-of-the-art technology, and the government used it to make me. I am the ultimate deadly warrior. I can and have destroyed a whole city in an afternoon.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god.
Joanna, Joe? Joe. Listen here. Listen to me. Breathe. I think we just found your biggest fear.
Yeah, we did. My biggest fear is that in trying to help the world, trying to fix all these illnesses and bring joy to small children, is that I'm going to inadvertently give the world a new indiscriminate weapon, and even the smallest thing I make in the hands of a true monster could have the deadly consequences.
Wow, Joe. I never knew that about you, but I understand. And can I just tell you something right now? Something that I've never got to say to you before, really. I admire you. Joe, this year alone, you've done so much already. Like, Joe, you found an affordable, permanent cure for T1D. You came up with a sustainable solution for clean water. You synthesized that superpower to help a 3-headed dog entertain old people.
Yeah.
And you've done it all without asking for anything in return. Joanna, you are strong as hell. You are the smartest human being I know. But both of those would be nothing without the heart you have. That heart that is beating right now in your chest. You have morals and integrity. I know you'll never let anyone take your technology and use it for evil. And anyone who would do so is honestly a complete fucking idiot. No one in their right minds would square up in a battle of the techie minds with Johanna the White Hawk Lovelace. Now just breathe. Breathe and relax.
As Joanna took a few deep breaths, with her eyes closed, the scenery around us began to fade until it was just the three of us in the darkness. When the light returned, we were on a battlefield. The three of us looked around, and before I could ask where we were, a bullet whizzed past my head. "Hit the deck!" The three of us dropped to the ground. I looked around in the direction of where the bullet was fired. I didn't see who it was that fired it. I turned around to see if it had hit anyone. I gasped. It had hit me. Well, not actually me, per se, but an image that looked like me within the dream. I watched as my dream doppelganger fell to its knees, blood spilling from its entry and exit wound. He fell to the ground, dead, and then I saw Dean's dream doppelganger slightly run towards my figure, crying. He picked up my doppelganger's lifeless body, sobbing. Around him, the world started to change. Days and nights were passing in a matter of seconds, but Dean did not move. I didn't realize the real Dean right next to me was crying as we were watching this dream in progress. The world around the doppelganger began to fall apart and burst into flames. Doppelganger Jordan's body slowly eroded into dust in Doppelganger Dean's arms, until there was nothing left but a skull.
This is my fear. Jordan, I know my dad told you this, but because I'm one of the warriors, I'm going to outlive you by at least 100 years. But if I lost you...
Dean, look at me. Look into my eyes. I won't die for a very, very long time. And if I do die before you, I'm gonna haunt your fine ass from the afterlife until you join me in heaven or wherever the fuck we're going. Either way, I love you, I'm not going anywhere, and I won't leave you to face the world alone.
I love you too, Jay.
Now it's time for me to return the favor, Dean. You've done a lot in your life, and you've got a lot of responsibilities, but even if, God forbid, Jordan tries to blow himself up along with the mayor like he did last September...
Oh, piss off. I didn't try to blow up the mayor. The mayor blew himself up.
You, Dean, will never be alone. We will always be here to be your family. We will always be your brothers and sisters, and if anything happens to either one of you, we'll move heaven and earth to get you back here together again. I promise you that.
Thank you. Thank you both.
Of course, my love. Now, breathe in with me.
As Dean closed his eyes to breathe, the scenery around him faded into darkness. But suddenly, without warning, Joanna faded out of the dream, as did Dean.
Joe? Dean? What is this mirror doing here?
I looked into the mirror. I saw myself for a second, and then my reflection turned itself around. When it came back around, I saw that it was holding an old knife with blood dripping off it. My eyes were blacker than ever before, as if I was wearing full sclera lenses. Slowly, my face warped. My face changed to that of the mayor before we had demasked him, and then it changed back to me.
Who are you? I am your darkness. Deep down, you know it's true what Uncle Isaac said the night right before he died. Well, Jordan, your darkness is growing. Soon you will come around to my way of thinking, and you will choose my path. No, I won't. I am not filled with darkness. I will always choose the path of light. If that's the lie that you need to believe, go right ahead. It's still just a lie. You will choose wrong, and the consequences will be dire. Good luck, I guess, or whatever. It's your funeral. Or is it? Bye-bye. Wait, what do you mean My
eyes fluttered open. My head was pounding. I sat up and looked around. Dean and Joanna were there beside me on the floor, and they were awake. Kieran had arrived, and Jeremy was there too, standing in the corner with a nosebleed, looking a bit weak. I was surprised to see that Faith was there too, holding a tissue to her own nose.
Faith? Why are you...
Kieran called, or more accurately, Kieran showed up in my office with someone I thought was you, but I guess is your identical twin?
Oh, right. Faith, meet my twin brother Jeremy. Jeremy, meet interim Mayor Faith. Just to catch you up, he was kidnapped at birth and partially raised by Mayor Fields, who was actually my uncle in magical disguise, right on up until 3 minutes before he blew himself up in front of my house, roughly about 8 months ago. Anyway, my brother is an agent and a spy with this organization called The Division. Can't really explain that right now, but that's really the gist of it.
Wow. Okay, that's a lot. Well, pleased to meet you, Jeremy. Anyway, those two said they needed a favor and brought me here. I was able to wake the three of you up.
And I took care of our friend the Dream Master over there. Honestly, I thought it'd be harder, but all I had to do was punch him in the face and he was out. I'll apologize when he gets up, but I gave him a tranquilizer, so he'll be down for a while.
Okay. We've got to get him to the station. What are we going to do about his dream/nightmare power?
I took care of it. Kieran said to focus some of my power on his brain, and I did. I felt the fear and the pain, and I just made them go away. And I think they'll stay away, including the addictions.
And as for his ability, I'm going to make something I learned about from Legba. It's basically a dream catcher combined with an ankle bracelet and a reflective shock collar. Anytime he touches somebody with the intent of using his power, he'll just knock himself out with a good dream.
Wow. That's really something. Whew, glad you found that.
I'll let my dad know to come and get him, but can I be honest, guys?
Of course.
I don't want him to go to jail. I mean, don't get me wrong, what he did was awful, and Scott is dead because of his ability. But I really don't think he meant to do it. He loved Scott. I think Scott wouldn't want his research to end just because of his murder. I think Brent here will, when he gets up, agree to continue the research and see the Dream Serum complete some trials on the condition that we destroy the Nightmare Toxin and any mention of it in the literature. As far as I'm concerned, the Nightmare Toxin is a weapon, and as the COO of Blackburn Labs, I refuse to let that information get out because we shouldn't have that. No one should have to suffer like that.
I agree with you. And as a member of the board of Blackburn Labs, I'd like to suggest we name the Sleep Research Department after Scott, and make a memorial to him somewhere in the building.
From what Kieran was able to tell me before you woke him, it really sounds to me like you could easily argue that he was temporarily insane due to lack of sleep.
Or we could just not tell Jared. We could say he didn't kill Scott. Think about it. Jared doesn't know that dream manipulation is possible and could even have caused Scott's death. And let's be real, Jared doesn't have to know. Kieran, you already have his cause of death. He died of a heart attack in his sleep. That's technically the truth. We can just leave it at that.
Jordan, that's...
At best, it's voluntary manslaughter. But it's not like he's going to reoffend. We know he won't reoffend. We literally just cured him. Why bother putting him through all of that? Why bother hurting him? Scott's family doesn't even think he was murdered. We had a suspicion that we can just quietly hide. He's gonna be contained by that ankle bracelet spell thing.
What if the ankle spell breaks, Jay? What happens then? What if he takes the ankle spell thingy off? We don't know what he's going to do.
Not to interrupt, but he won't be able to take it off. Once I put it on, literally only I can remove it.
That's not the point. Are you really going to lie to Jared, the man who took you in when your parents were murdered in cold blood, to protect a murderer?
Why are you so willing to label him as a murderer? Do you know what happens to people who get convicted of homicide? They go to prison, where they are treated as subhuman, and they're not even given an opportunity to be rehabilitated. We throw them in there for a long time, and we just let them rot in there. Out of sight, out of mind, right? And then, when they get out, no one wants them. No one will let them come back, no matter how well behaved he is. No matter if they're reformed, no matter if they're a good worker, even if they turn to Jesus, they won't let them come back. His life will be over for this, and he didn't even mean to do it. That isn't fair, that isn't right, and that isn't justice. And as the Guardians, we stand for justice.
If you do this...
Dean, come on. Babe, seriously. You heard the story just like I did. Just let it go. Just let it go this once.
Dean, if it helps, I'm literally the mayor of this city. It is my job to care about the citizens of this city. And I'm with Jordan on this. There is no point in labeling and punishing him and ruining his life for something he didn't even mean to do. He already has to deal with the love of his life being dead.
Fine. But Jordan, remember this. Because this is the last time I'm hiding anything from your dad and my boss.
I understand. I know. It's just... this is the right thing to do.
I decided not to tell them about the nightmare I saw. It didn't seem like a good time to discuss the dark side of me. I have to be vigilant. I have to stand for justice. Otherwise, what do I stand for? Tonight, I'll sleep fine, knowing that I saved at least one person. But the question is, will the darkness inside of me sleep? Or is it just waiting for its time to come out?
Thank you for listening to Red Wing. Today's episode was written by J.V. Hampton Van Sant. This episode you heard the voice talents of J.V. Hampton Van Sant, Ellie Hirschman, Amanda Jacobson, Skylar Paring, Lucy Fitzgerald, Arthur Tisserand, and Chad Ellis as Brent. For the complete cast list, please visit redwingpodcast.com. The title this week is based on the songs Dreams by the Cranberries and Nightmares by Avenged Sevenfold. You'll find a link to both of those songs in the show notes. Our music is composed by Nico of We Talk of Dreams. If you want to listen to any of these themes, please visit our website. Check out our show notes for links to our merch, our social media, and our website. As always, stay safe and fly high, heroes.